Hey everybody, it's Sam. Just letting you know that for this episode of Cookn Matrix, we have decided to go audio only due to a number of camera issues behind the scenes. Let us know if you enjoy the audio only format or if you would like us to go back to the camera format where we did show our faces. With all that being said, I hope you enjoy this look back at the Devil May Cry animated series. Hey Peyton, how are you doing today?
I am doing well, Sam. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic because we are back with episode 4 of the Cookn Matrix podcast. I'm your
Wow.
host, Sam from Cookn Reviews. With me, as always, is my amazing co-host, Peyton from Joe Matrix.
It is great to be back. So today we're going to talk about Devil May Cry, one of the greatest game series out there, and also it has an anime that we can review in the
Yes,
show
the
format.
anime is what we're talking about, not the games.
It is a very short series. It's one of those 12-episode animes,
Yeah,
and it's sort of an episode-to-episode series.
yeah. Each episode has its own contained story, but it has an overarching plot that comes to head in like the final episodes.
Yeah, the overarching plot, it's interesting. I'm not really into it, but
Yeah,
we'll get into that later.
yes, absolutely. I also would like to point out I have played all the main games, not the reboot, but I've played all the main games, and Peyton has not finished the first game yet, so he's sort of went into the show blind, if you will.
Yeah, it's kind of sad too. I love to follow storylines in chronological order, and from what I understand, the show is sort of after 1 and before 3, after 3 and before 2.
Yes, that's correct. Devil May Cry 3 takes place chronologically. It goes Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 1, and then the anime.
Well, that's not confusing.
It isn't confusing. It's Devil May Cry 2's fault. Blame that game for everything.
Yeah, go watch Sam's review on Devil May Cry 2, and he'll explain further why he's not really into Devil May Cry 2.
Pretty much. Also, check out my reviews for the first and third game. I did
Of
one
course.
on those two, and the one on the fourth game will be coming out very soon.
Can't wait to watch that one.
Thank you. But with
But we're
that out
not-
of the way, let's finally talk about the anime. We've already mentioned that this is a episodic series with, I don't know if we said it, but it has 12 episodes, and each episode is like its own contained story.
Yeah, it follows episode to episode. There is an overarching story, and the overarching story is... it doesn't really match up with Dante's character, in my opinion.
It doesn't in my opinion either, but again, we'll get to that more in the pros and cons section.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, despite the fact that these are episodic, or it's an episodic show with each of its own stories, it does have characters that go through the entire thing.
Yeah, the characters, for the most part, they sort of come, go. They're not really there. We
Yeah,
mostly just follow the characters that are there every episode, or at least most episodes, such as Lady and Trish. They're not there every episode, but they're there.
yeah.
They're important characters.
In fact, if you want to know the two most important characters, that would be Dante and Patty.
Yeah, they're kind of there every episode.
Yeah.
And Morrison.
Oh yeah, Morrison's there too. Can't forget about mustachioed Morrison.
Oh yeah, the guy who brings the jobs, takes the money.
Yeah, just complains of Dante all the time.
And Dante does the same thing. It's their friend relationship.
In a way, yes. Moving on to the pros and cons of this show. Since it's such a short show, I think Peyton and I will have one pro each and then one con each, unlike Danny Phantom. So Peyton, why don't you start out with your one pro?
My pro of the show is it's pretty cool. I mean, he matches the style that Dante shows in the games, of where he just sort of goes in guns blazing,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't really have much regard for himself. I mean, he goes in, he wipes out demons. So it stays pretty true to what he shows in the games.
You mean like action-wise?
Yes.
Okay. What about your con of the show? Do you have one of those?
Well, you see, my con is Sid.
Oof.
All right, so if you have...
I was gonna say, don't go too in depth on Sid, because we'll talk about Sid in the character section, but
I'll just go ahead and say that I don't think he was done that well, and it doesn't make sense what Dante doesn't do to him. Is throughout the show. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit his character at all, because he kills demons. Sid's a demon. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So that's my con.
All right. My pro of the show is the writing. I think the writing of the show is extremely solid. I love the interactions between characters, because in the game it's more action-based, so there isn't a lot of character interaction that you can get during certain moments, but I think that's where the anime comes in handy, because we finally get to see a lot of interactions between certain characters.
Yeah, the cutscenes from what I've seen in your reviews and from playing the first game myself, they're pretty limited, and the cutscenes are definitely very limited, so there's not really much interaction. You are right.
Yeah. And I think that just the writing between the characters is pretty solid, in my opinion. These feel like people who are, like, friends with each other, if not slight adversaries at points, but they still care about each other.
That is true.
Yeah.
Even though there's so few characters, but what is your con, Sam? I'm kind of curious on that.
The fight scenes.
Really?
Yes, there are a few, like, interesting fight scenes in my head, but overall, I think the fight scenes are not, well, I don't want to say they're not well choreographed, but I feel like the camera, where they choose to place it in, like, certain shots, could have been much better.
Making the scene seem kind of lackluster.
Yeah. Just to compare it to another anime, look at Naruto. They always make sure to place the attention, or like the camera, if you will, in shots where you can see a bunch of stuff happening on screen. There isn't really a whole lot of that in Devil May Cry.
Yeah, it's mostly Dante. They always show Dante. He points a gun in direction and he shoots demon. And then occasionally there's some swordplay.
Yeah. And that swordplay is just not very cool at times, which is a shame because it's amazing in the video games. I don't know if you agree with me on that, Peyton, but I just feel like when Dante pulls the sword out, they tend to shy away from the long fights of the game, if you will.
It definitely surprised me in the first one where he just stabs himself pretty much with the second one. He gets, what was the name of that second sword? The lightning one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, wait, can I just add this other pro in? Just a short one?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, so the sound quality in the show is great, because whenever they're in a room, you can hear the echo in the room, all right? You hear sort of the bouncing off the walls, or whenever they're outside or at a distance, you can just, it sounds as if they're actually talking to themselves in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably one of the best shows I've seen do that.
That's saying something, because you're more of an anime guy than I am, correct?
Oh yeah, it's definitely, and of the ones I've seen, that's probably the best I've ever seen it pulled off. Because most of them just kind of do sort of just one sound, as if a mic's right up on them or something.
Yeah.
And occasionally you'll hear something, maybe a distance sound shot. But other than that,
that's actually a really cool thing. I didn't even think about it, but yeah, the sound quality is actually very nice in the show. Like, not just like the room echoes, but like the sound effects and everything. I think they're really good at points.
mm-hmm.
Moving on from the pros and cons, let's talk about the characters of the show.
Ah, yes, the characters. The ones that we're going to talk about, we're not really going to go into all the individual characters, though we'll bring up some of the the ones that come in from the episode to episode, we're mostly just going to stick with the ones that are going to be around.
Yeah, if we were to talk about the characters that appeared in just one episode in this section, we would be here for quite a long time, so we're just going to mainly stick to characters that show up in more than one episode.
Our first character is Anthony.
Oh, that's how you're going to introduce Dante.
What are you talking about, Anthony?
For those of you that have seen the show, you probably know what Peyton's referencing, but if you don't, we'll explain it later.
Dante is Anthony.
Yes.
Changed my mind.
But yes, the first character we're talking about is Dante, the main character of the show, the protagonist, if you will, the MC.
The white-haired, lusty man.
Dante in the show is very cool. I think he's very true in some ways to his game counterpart, and like he's very laid back. He's not as outgoing as Devil May Cry 3 Dante, but he was like 19 in that game. But I say he's more accurate to his Devil May Cry 1 counterpart. Again, in some ways.
Then again, in the games, he does sort of change in every episode, pretty much, his personality in a way.
Yeah. Before we get to the worst part about Dante's character in the show, because there is a major flaw with this character in my opinion, but probably the coolest part about Dante is his voice actor.
Yeah, you've told me in the past, outside of recordings, that you're really into his voice actor.
That's right. I've even mentioned it in my Devil May Cry 3 review. Ruben Langdon is the voice of Dante in this game, which is kind of significant because he voices Dante in like almost all Devil May Cry media, and he is the only voice actor from the game to reprise his role in the anime.
Yeah, but then again, when you think about it, Patty, she wasn't in the previous game, so...
True, but I'm talking when it mainly comes to him, Lady, and Trish.
Yeah.
Since, as far as I know, they're the only three characters that actually appear from the games and the anime.
Yeah, Devil May Cry doesn't really have a whole big line of characters, which that's kind of a good thing, because you can focus more on their story.
That's true.
I've seen tons of shows where they just added a bunch of side characters, and then you just can't keep up with them all. You try to give them a story, and they don't get enough screen time.
Absolutely. But, do you have any thoughts on Dante before I move on to his major character flaw?
Well, he is white-haired shooty boy. Goes around killing demons. He eats pizza. He's kind of lazy. And... he's also might be Anthony.
Oh, you can't get over that one, can you?
I don't think I ever will.
And that's not the character flaw I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that Dante, straight up at certain points, is not the character from the video games. Let me explain what I mean by that. In the video games, Dante never hesitates to kill a demon. Never. If there's a demon on screen, Dante makes sure he is dead, or whatever, it's dead. In the show, however, Dante hesitates to kill Sid, who is the main villain of the show. Now again...
Let's not forget about episode 3. Alright, because that guy was also a demon. And he didn't kill him, because he thought he was good. I mean, does that fit with Dante's character, you think, from the games?
Well, I don't know. No demon in the game is good.
Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting, because you made a demon good, made him Healy boy, and that's kind of a moral thing for Dante.
Yeah.
Because he always kills except for, now you can get to your point.
Yes.
He always kills, except for Sid.
Yes. And again, me and Peyton will discuss Sid later on in the video, because he deserves to be talked about by himself. But There's so many points in the... I think there are about 4 or 5 points in the anime where Dante has the perfect opportunity to kill Sid, and he doesn't take it.
And it doesn't... in the first episode, he tries to stab Patty, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense, because he's been really protective of Patty the whole show. He would kill him on the spot, and he's such a weak demon. Even he said that.
Pretty much, and I think in episode 8 and episode 7, he has 2 opportunities to kill Sid, yet he absolutely does not take it until the last minute, which gives Sid enough time to get away.
And then there comes the end part, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Moving on from Dante, we get maybe the most important character in the anime, Patty.
Possibly.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, Patty is little girly. And here, listen to this, my fellow weebs, anime lads and lasses. She is not annoying, for once, right? A lot of times they'll add in a little child character in the shows, and they'll be there for practically no reason. They'll show up, and they don't really serve a purpose. They're just there to say, I hate you, main protagonist. You suck. And then you just end up hating their character because of that. Patty is not one of these. She just follows Dante. She acts as a kid does, normally, within reason. And they mostly leave out the parts if she starts to get annoying, such as when the TV broke in episode 3. They say, Dante, Morrison, drive. I mean, she's pretty well pulled off.
I think that actually perfectly sums up my feelings on Patty. Even in non-anime things, just like regular Saturday morning cartoons, which, by the way, Devil May Cry is not a Saturday morning cartoon. Don't let your kids watch this show.
Oh yeah, by no means.
It is so violent, so bloody.
There's so much blood in every episode.
Yes. And even in other just like regular Saturday morning cartoons, children are usually the most annoying characters because they can't do anything.
Come to think of it, that messes with me in shows in generals, where they put a character in that can't do anything. I wish they could do something.
Yes, and like you said, they use Patty in the moments when she's not annoying, and when they feel like she is getting annoying, they decide to pull her out of the episode, which is good. It gives us, like, I guess, a break from her, if you will, if someone does find her annoying.
And for the most part, she doesn't seem to be that way. She just seems to be alright, and she seems to be honestly a good guide for Dante, who's a bit reckless and uncaring for his well-being.
Also, Patty is not useless. She can do things, but we'll get more into that in the episode summary, and specifically the last 2 episodes, when her mom comes into the show.
And is there any negative thing you can think of about Patty?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but off the top of my head, no. I think she's a really good character.
Alright. So what's next on the character list?
Lady.
Ah, Lady. No introduction needed there.
Pretty much. If you already have played Devil May Cry 3, you know who Lady is. She is the only human of the cast who is able to take on demons.
Which is weird and risky.
Yes, but totally awesome. She also is the only primary gun wielder of the cast. Every other person has, like, melee attacks, but Lady is completely firearm using.
Nah, she does have blades on some of the ends of her guns.
Yeah, but still they're attached to guns.
I mean, America, baby.
Yeah, although I don't think this show takes place in America. Who knows? But this is where the only other problem on the show comes in. I probably should have mentioned this in the con, but aside from Dante and Patty, these characters don't have a lot of personality.
Yeah, and if you haven't played the games, then you probably wouldn't understand their importance in the show. Which that may have been their intention.
Yeah.
but it keeps the show from sort of standing out from the games.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it seem as if it wouldn't make sense without the games.
Yeah, which it kind of doesn't at points.
Yeah.
Because, again, if you haven't... Peyton, you didn't watch my Devil May Cry 3 video because I didn't make one when you first watched the anime, so what did you think of Lady?
I thought she was cool, two-colored eye chick with big gun. I mean, and you know how I feel about big gun women. That'd be nice.
Peyton is single, ladies.
You got big gun. I'm your man.
I wish I had more to say about Lady in the show, but this isn't really where she shines. It's in the games mostly. So she's a cool character, but not a whole lot to her character in the show.
She shows up, she says, "Oh, hey, Dante, I got a job." And she says, "Oh, well, you owe me, Dante," and makes some stupid gamble.
Let's kill demons.
And let's not forget about when she meets Trish.
Speaking of Trish.
Oh.
Pretty much everything we said about Lady goes for Trish, too.
Yeah, honestly. Trish is blonde demon woman who resembles Dante's mom.
Which you would not know from seeing the anime, but it's explained in the games. Which, again, the show has slight hints that these characters may have romantic history. Which, she looks like your mom, dude. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's... It isn't step sis level weird, but it's kind of odd.
Yes. But, again, like I said, she doesn't really get much character here.
She gets less than Lady, honestly.
Yeah, she's only in 4 episodes.
Yeah, she is electricity demon, resembles Dante's mom, comes in, comes out. She has a brief moment where she mentions something about being with Dante in the past and said, "Oh, you're still laying about, you're eating pizza, eh?"
You bum.
Out of curiosity, how old is Dante, you think, in the show?
I think he's in his... I think it's his late 20s, early 30s, because he's 19 in the 3rd game.
Because in other shows, they tend to make demons immortal. At least in the ideas of that, you won't die naturally. You go up a number, but you don't really age.
Yeah.
So and I didn't know if it was the same thing.
Yeah, but Dante's like half human, you know what I mean? So he sort of does age if you look at the games.
Is his brother Virgil? That's the question.
Yeah. Oh, I wish Virgil was in this anime. Quick con, Virgil is not in the anime. I know that wouldn't make sense in terms of like the chronology of the games, but I don't care. Virgil's like the coolest character in this whole series. He should have been a cameo or something.
Instead, they brung in that one episode where... What was it they wanted? I didn't get the chance to watch that one specifically before we did this one. They showed up, they mentioned something about his dad.
Oh, yeah, those guys. That episode's weird. I want to talk about that one later on just because I have several questions.
Yeah. Let's see.
Next character?
Is it Morrison?
Yes, it is Morrison.
Yeah.
A character who has more depth in this show than the 2 ladies from the video game, if I'm being frank.
And he didn't even show up in the video games. He just showed up in this anime. And
yes, at the time of the show, he was not in the games. And yes, his character doesn't go through like any changes, but you get like certain hints of his character that you don't get from Trish or Lady.
Yeah, he's... How do I put this? He is just fedora-wearing lad, comes in, he says, "I have job, I have money, if you do job, do good, we make cash. Capiche?"
Yeah. And he does like take on more of an active role in the final 2 episodes.
which is kind of sad that he didn't take on more of an active role in the other episodes. He was pretty much just jobby boy
Yeah.
in the other ones. He just come in, say, I got job, go.
Yeah. I will say, though, in the context of the show, again, just the show, not talking games here, I think I might like Morrison more.
He is definitely one of my more favorite characters. I think Patty is my favorite.
Yeah.
I think Morrison is probably my third favorite.
Second being Dante.
Probably.
The reason I say that about Morrison is just because, again, this was his first debut, so there was a bit more mystery to it, and it acts as though Morrison and Dante have known each other for, I'm gonna guess, years at this point. So
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that just makes him slightly more interesting to me. Again, go down in the comments and tell us how wrong we are for having our opinions on this show. We'll take it.
Yeah. If you watch this show.
Yeah, the 20 of you that watch it. Thank you for watching it, whoever you are.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We could use the support.
Yes.
All right, so my con with Morrison, he's not really in the action scenes.
No.
He doesn't really do that much in that regard. And
Even in the last 2 episodes when he does take an active role, there is no action scenes with Morrison.
I kind of wish he would, because I don't know, but he just has the look about him that he could go for a tumble with the demons.
I would love to just see Morrison go full cowboy and just pull out a 6-shooter out of nowhere.
Or full detective.
Yeah, just like, it's high noon. Yeah. But no, we don't get any of that. Patty even gets more, like, action-type scenes than Morrison.
And she's an 8-year-old child.
Yes, she's not equipped for this. Again, I think unless you have anything else to say about Morrison, I think I'm done with him.
I haven't really got anything to say about him more.
Okay.
We've pretty much gone through him pretty well.
I guess we gotta talk about Sid now.
Do we have to?
Unfortunately, yes. Sid is the main villain of the show, and by the way, that is C-I-D, Sid.
Yeah, he's the main villain of the show. It shows up in episode 1. But his character makes no sense to me. And I think it's just sort of a last-minute plot point, to be honest.
They were just like, oh man, we gotta somehow bring all these episodes together in the final 2 episodes. So, hey, what about that one demon we didn't kill off?
Let's make him the main villain, despite him being extremely weak.
And I know some people are gonna be like, oh, no, Sid's cool. Here's the thing about Sid. Let's compare him to other Devil May Cry villains. Can I, Peyton? Can I compare him to ones from the game?
Yeah, go ahead. I've watched your reviews.
Yeah. In the first game, you take on Mundus, who is the guy that killed your father.
That's pretty dangerous, because they talk about his father as if he whooped a master demon swordsman.
In the second game, you take on an evil French guy. Granted, he's not that good of a villain himself, but he is so hilariously bad that it makes up for it. Sid's not even hilariously bad, he's just bad. And then, of course, there's Virgil, who, despite his core motivation just being he wants power, he's got such a cool presence to him that you really don't even care. You're just like, this guy right here is a good villain.
This guy will wreck my world. I know it.
And I like him.
Yeah,
Sid
but
has none of that.
Sid is so weak, and he tries to kill Patty, and he shows up in front of Dante, who has only once in the show shown regard for demons, and it happened to be a good demon. This guy, he's obviously not good, and Dante refuses to kill him.
And if he was like overpowering Dante, you know, like he manages to like subdue Dante or something, I could get it, because Dante would be like, maybe I need to prepare for this guy. But he doesn't. Sid literally said himself, I'm actually a pretty weak demon. So Dante has literally no excuse not to kill him. It doesn't matter if he's weak. He's a demon. He could come back and backstab you, which he sort of does in a way.
Yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah.
And then the wait, are we to the point where we talk about the end, or we're still more on Sid right now?
Just talk about Sid's context in the end.
His context in the end, he tries to steal the power of a demon queen? Question mark. And he fuses with him, but it's the queen, but it's him. Then puts Dante on a stick, which doesn't make sense because Dante can heal, and he just gets right back up and fights him anyway. That doesn't really make sense.
Save that for later.
Yeah, that's the part I was questioning about. He's I don't see any pros with Sid. I think it was just a last-ditch effort to try to tie in the episodes because they were, for the most part, episode to episode. There wasn't really a overarching story to them. Except
with Sid.
And
but those are all the main characters in the show. Honestly, I'm just gonna say Dante's my favorite, but that's literally just because he's Dante, and Patty is a very close second.
I think they just really use Patty well, is why she's my first.
Yeah.
Though Dante does get a lot more action.
Which makes sense, he's the main character.
Honorable mentions of characters. We have the guy who calls Dante Anthony.
Did you literally just come up with that segment just so you could make that joke?
Yes.
We'll save the rest of them for our next segment, the episode summary.
Yeah.
Since there are only 12 episodes, me and Peyton just decided it'd be kind of a cool idea to go through and just explain each episode's plot very quickly and give our overall thoughts on each episode.
I guess I'll give it a start off with episode 1. All right, episode 1. It introduces Dante in a sort of way. In his office, he's just, doing lazy Dante things. And then here comes along Morrison and says, there's this heiress to this important family. You got to protect her till 6 p.m. tomorrow. Right, you got to take her there. He goes on a road trip, and Dante says, pulls hat down and says, I'm gonna shoot this demon. And there's a guy that gets murdered on a train. There's a moth that gets killed in a motel after they check into a motel, which is the first place we meet Sid. Alright, we didn't know he was Sid, but he's there.
Moving on.
Yeah, and he goes on because Patty runs away because thinks that she knows where her mother is, wipes out a bunch of demons, has a chance to kill Sid again, doesn't do it. And then in the end, it just shows Patty cutesy up the office, and Dante hates it because she ate his sundae. Big sad. Rip Sunday.
Overall, my favorite episode of the entire show.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's not only a great introduction to the show, but it perfectly represents Dante's character. And, heck, even Patty's character in a way.
Also, I'll go ahead and point this out. You can watch the entire show on YouTube. The dub version.
Yes. If you want to watch the Japanese one, it's on Hulu. And I'm sure you can find it in other ways, you bootleggers. Moving on, episode 2. Again, we don't remember the specific titles of the episode, but episode 2, Dante has to take down like a motorcycle demon. And he does with the help of Lady, which this is her first appearance in the show. And then Lady double crosses him at the end, sort of, and just says, oh, by the way, that was the highway department asking me to do it. Why she just didn't tell Dante that from the beginning, I don't know. Yeah. And then at the very end, Lady's like, oh yeah, you still owe me for the job, bye. Overall, solid episode. Peyton, what are your thoughts?
I think that, man, it was good that they had it in the bromance between that biker dude and Dante. Just said, hey, thanks for saving my brother, dude. Let's go on another race.
No problem, filler character I will never see again.
Who would honestly probably be more interesting than some of the regular characters.
Debatable.
Also, I have the list pulled up, all right? The first is called missions in the episodes. Mission 1 is Devil May Cry. That's literally the name of it.
I see what you did there. Clever.
All right. The Mission 2 is Highway Star, the one Sam just described. And here's the next episode, Mission 3, Not Love. All right. So we start out, there's this girl, she trips, she falls, she has sort of a Cinderella moment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's this guy, heals her ankle. Go home, they go dating, and then a restrictive father locks her in a room, hires Dante, says, and Morrison, they go down there and they say, hey, I want you to kill this guy because he's going with my daughter and I think he's a demon. So Dante sort of stalks him. He says, yeah, I'm a demon and I've been contracted by this big demon to kill off this town, but I don't want to do it anymore because I love this woman. So goes back to home, finds that the butler did it. He summons big giant dude, but Dante says no you and sends him back down by cutting him and shooting him. That's pretty much it. Also, a TV is broken.
Yeah. It's an
Morrison
okay
fixed it.
episode.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Yeah. Episode 4, what's the title?
It legit, I don't see a title. It just says Devil May Cry Episode 4 English dub.
Okay, moving on.
My bad.
This is the episode where we meet Trish for the first time, and it sort of sparks a rivalry between Lady and Trish. It's a fun episode where, by the end of it, it's revealed that the priest dude who hired Lady was a demon who just wanted to get rid of Trish, because Trish was secretly hired to take him down. Overall, solid episode. Two things I want to point out, though. Even though they sort of explain why Trish just didn't explain who she was to Lady, it still kind of makes no sense. Why would you not tell Lady who you are? Lady could have probably killed you if she wasn't having an off day. Who knows? Second point, they try to act like, oh, it's Trish, it's going to be a big reveal, even though she's literally in the opening of the anime.
Oh, I found the name of it. It's called Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder. Interesting name.
Accurate for the demon that's based on. Oh, it has a stars list on how great people thought the show was based episode.
Ooh.
All right, so the first episode got a 6.7. The second one got a 6.8. The third one got a 7.1, and the fourth one got a 7.3. So it's been a rising continuation since episode 1.
What about episode 5?
Episode 5, a 6.9. Ah, nice.
Speaking of which, tell us about episode 5, Peyton.
In private. Did I forget this one?
It's the one where the dude follows Dante.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember. So we have... This one's weird because it doesn't really focus on Dante.
Mm-hmm.
It focuses on a dude that follows Dante. And that's a bit bizarre. But he pretty much, his girl is in there and says, oh, well, why don't you be more like Dante? He's cool and he comes in here and eats sundaes all the time. So this guy follows Dante to see what his stuff's made of. It's sort of a comedic episode where a guy follows Dante, sees how dangerous he is, and ends up injured in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And he witnesses Dante go around killing demons. He wipes out a mafia full of demons, and then at the end of the episode, after getting run off by Patty, he goes in and he says, I want a sundae, and he eats a sundae with Dante, and that's how the story goes. Girlfriend smiles.
I skipped to this episode. I thought it was kind of stupid.
Yeah, and as I said, it didn't really focus on Dante, which was different.
Yeah. Episode 6. What's the rating on this one?
7.1.
Oh, we're back to good. Does it have the title or?
It's called Rock Queen.
Oh, yes. I couldn't remember the name, what this episode was about, but Rock Queen. This probably is one of the better episodes, not because of the story or anything. In fact, it's kind of weird. But it actually does have some pretty decent action scenes. Basically, Dante is hired to help these guys who are looking for like treasure or something. But then these demons start attacking because they play the song by the Rock Queen.
Who is a demon, question mark, possessed
Yeah.
by a demon?
It turns out the Rock Queen is a former musician who became famous, but when she became famous, her music started possessing people, turning them like zombies, or turning them into zombie-like people. It's kind of weird. This show sort of does things that were never explained in the game, and it sort of gives way more context to the demons than the games have ever done, pretty much.
Yeah, that is pretty accurate.
Yeah. But it's a fine episode. I will say, the little song that they play, that summons the demons.
They're pretty good and remind you of the games, don't they?
Kind of. Real quick note, overall, music in the show, it's fine.
It didn't really stand out to you?
No.
I thought it was pretty good.
Did you like the opening theme?
Oh yeah, the opening scene. The song isn't that really memorable, but the opening scene, the song matches it very well.
Yeah. That is maybe one of the few songs that I could totally see being in the game.
Puts it in Devil May Cry 6.
Hey, I wouldn't be hurting over that one. Episode 7.
All right. Episode 7, we have Wishes Come True, released on July 2007. It's got a 7.1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This one is... this is interesting.
I call it the prison episode, pretty much.
Yeah, this one, it starts out, there's a fisherman. And he's fishing. And then there's this demon shows up, said, "Oh, I can grant your wish." And pretty much the only wish that the demon grants is death. So kills his best friend. And then he gets thrown into jail. Dante loses games with Patty. And then he gets called over by this girl and says, I don't remember how he was related to the girl, but anyway.
Brother, sister, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. And goes over to the town, says, what's the issue? Dante knows it's a demon. He goes over to get arrested so he could get thrown into the demon prison. And he pretty much busts the guy out. And he kills all the demons in there with his bare hands. And then gets his guns and stuff later, and he does a better job. Which that just speaks a lot of the strength of Dante's character. Can I just bring this up real quick?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of make Dante's character overpowered in a way. There's not really much conflict. As far as he doesn't have to do much. I mean, usually whenever they put a protagonist in, they make him struggle to win, or they make him lose the first time. But this one, it just says, hey, you're strong. You win. That's what you do.
Yeah, I think that becomes more a complaint, especially in the final episode. But we're not there yet.
There's not really much else to episode 7, so...
Probably one of my least favorite episodes. It just feels overly dark in a way. Dante uses the F word, which, by the way, he has never used in the game.
Well, I'll just bring this up real quick. The Japanese don't have the F word in their language, so that would have to be added in.
Yeah,
it
was probably definitely added in.
English lads.
Mm-hmm. But you know what episode we're at now, Peyton?
We're at Once Upon a Time with the 6.9. Nice rating again.
And the last episode would be my least favorite if this one did not contain a character who Peyton has referenced a couple times in this video. A dude who calls Dante Anthony. I'm going to try to sum this up as quickly as I can because This episode is surprisingly complicated, and since the anime is canon, brings up so many questions about Dante's character. It's kind of interesting. So pretty much there's this guy who comes to Dante's office and is convinced that Dante is Anthony, his friend from like when they were children who went missing. He brings Dante to their hometown where, surprise, surprise, it was Sid who told this guy that Dante was Anthony. By the way, the fact that the dude trusts Sid is kind of the dumbest part of the whole show. Maybe just my opinion. But Dante goes with him, and he learns that this demon destroyed their whole village, and he wants to kill it now. Terrible idea, but Dante goes along with it anyway. And Dante tries to tell him throughout the whole episode, I'm not Anthony, but the dude's like, oh, that's funny, you are Anthony. Dante's like, oh my gosh, you're an idiot.
It's weird though, at one point he said, I don't go by Anthony anymore. And I thought, how does that, what? Are you Anthony?
That is never explained in the game, and that's why I said this episode brings up so many questions about Dante's character. It's just like, well, who are you then? Are you Dante? Are you Anthony? Were you born in this town? What?
How does this work, and why do you not pretend you know anybody?
Yeah.
You are Anthony?
And at the end of the episode, the dude summons the demon without Dante being there, because he's an idiot. And he thinks that, like, his 12-gauge shotgun will take him down. In normal life, yes, but taking on a demon who's like the size of who almost looked like the size of a building, yeah, that ain't gonna work.
To be fair, Hyde would bring 12-gauge shotgun to demon fight.
Fair enough, but at the same time, wouldn't you also bring your silver, white-haired dude with a giant sword?
Only if I can bring my katana.
But dude loses, and then the demon is all like, oh, it's you again. And I'm pretty sure it's implied that the whole reason the demon destroyed their town in the first place when they were children is because he was looking for Dante. I'm pretty sure that's what this implies. So,
and as you've said, the episode's kind of complicated, so it's hard to know if that was the reason, but it's sort of implied.
Yes. And then the dumbest part of the whole episode, Dante saves the dude and takes him to the hospital. But then the dude starts yelling and like he curses at Dante saying, you aren't Anthony. And I'm like, he tried to tell you from the very beginning, you moron, that he wasn't Anthony.
And you refused to listen.
And then at the very end, Dante gets another chance to kill Sid, and he doesn't take it.
Yeah, and as we've said before, Sid's the worst plot point in the show.
Yes, this is my least favorite episode of the entire show. I do not like it. It poses so many questions that it does not answer. And again, this whole dude who thinks Dante's Anthony, I don't remember his name. I don't want to remember his name. He sucks. Peyton, thoughts?
I mean, it is pretty annoying how he brings up Anthony all the time. I didn't really think much of this episode. I honestly thought it was kind of more funny that he kept bringing up, well, you're Anthony, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I'm not Anthony. And I don't know, at a certain point, I guess you could say it could get annoying. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was just more of a humorous episode. But it was bad in the fact that they weren't trying to make it humorous.
No, they tried to take it super seriously.
You know what's funny, Sam?
What?
On this list, your favorite episode is rated the worst.
Really?
I kid you not.
Well, my
Yeah. I thought the first episode was great.
Episode
Moving
9.
on anyway. Death Poker. So pretty much there's a demon out there that kills people who play poker. So they bring the worst gambler to go play against this demon, which is Dante. The entire shtick with his character is that he's really, really bad at gambling. At one point, Patty even plays for him because he's so bad. And then pretty much people die off, and then at the very end he kills the demon that was on the boat terrorizing people. I thought it was a pretty meh episode. There wasn't really much that made it stand out to me.
Pretty much. I think
it was just there.
It's an average episode.
Yeah, there wasn't much to it.
It's just like, oh well. And at the very end, they try to make it tense because Dante seemingly gets his mind taken over by the demon for a second. And they're like, and Trish, or no, I meant Lady, shoots Dante, and they're like, oh snap, did they kill Dante?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
And as Peyton mentioned earlier, that sort of doesn't work with Dante's character, but I want to go more in depth on that in the final episode.
It has a 7.1 rating. So about average compared to the ratings of the other ones.
Yeah. Episode 10.
The Last Promise, 7.2.
This one is interesting. These two guys who are brothers, I think, come to Dante, and it's revealed that they were actually apprentices to his father, Sparta. And for those of you who don't know, Sparta, Dante's dad, is considered like a god in a way, considered because he saved the human world.
Yeah, and that sort of, it's one of the plot points that you wouldn't understand unless you played the game.
Yeah. But these guys come to Dante, and I think one of them, I don't remember this. I've seen the whole show. Both of us have, but we only watched certain episodes for the revisit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they fought Dante just because they were like, we need to prove ourselves to Sparta or something. Or one dude was like, I haven't had a worthy fight in like 1,000 years. It doesn't matter.
Dante shows up, just whoops them both.
Pretty much. It's just like, are you kidding me? These guys are supposed to be the apprentices to Sparta. And Dante just takes them down like they're an average demon.
Yeah, I mean, again, shows the overpoweredness of Dante.
Mm-hmm. That's literally all I have to say about this episode.
Yeah,
and Sid returns, and the final phase of his plan sort of goes into effect in a weird way.
Yeah. But that's for episode 11, which has a 7.3. It's called Showtime.
Mm-hmm.
So in this episode, it introduces Patty's mom as a character. Which, should we have gone over that in the character list, you think? Or
no, she's in only 2. I don't think so, at least, because she's only in 2 episodes. And, well, you can explain why she's important to episode 11.
So, pretty much, there's this diamond, or artifact, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And she has it, and it can kill weaker demons, pretty much. Wards them away, for whatever. And so, it's revealed that she doesn't want Patty to go near her because even though it protects her from demons, yeah, they sort of want that jewel or whatever. So she keeps Patty away. That's why she lives in an orphanage. And so Patty spends a lot of the episode trying to find her. And toward the end, it's revealed after Patty runs away from Dante and everybody trying to find her mom, that Sid had the plan to lure her there because here's the jewel. And now he has the jewel of both the mother and her daughter, and uses it to summon the demon queen. I think that's right.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, I suppose.
It's interesting, and it ends on a cliffhanger, which leads into the next episode, which is episode 12.
Oh yeah, the part where Dante is discombobulated.
Isn't he literally put on a cross?
Crucified, yes.
Which, possibly offensive religious imagery aside, is kind of stupid in the end.
Yeah.
But
how did he get there? What put him there? Honestly, why did they leave that part out? If Dante got just straight up destroyed, why didn't we get to see that? That would have been the one time in the show we would have said, oh, he's not overpowered. He
pretty
can be
much.
beaten.
And what is the title of episode 12?
All right, Stylish. It has a 7.7, the highest rating of them all.
I think that's sort of fitting because episode 12 was probably my second favorite episode of the whole show. And in this episode, again, Dante is missing, and demons start pretty much attacking everyone because Sid unleashed this evil demon mega monster.
And opened a portal to the underworld.
Yeah. And it's then revealed through some like ancient prophecy that some dude sealed a demon, but now Sid has undone the seal. Patty, Morrison, and Patty's mom run into the building where the portal was to get to Dante because they're convinced that he's on the other side of the portal.
Somehow Patty's crying wakes up Dante, ?
Yeah. Get to that in a second. But while that's happening, Lady and Trish stay outside the building trying to fend off any demons.
They're losing.
Yeah, they're literally useless. I'm sorry. They're kind of useless in this episode. But
just like in the rest of the show.
Slightly debatable, but I'm not going to probably argue against that. And then we move on. Once they're in the building, Patty and her mom have sort of like oh, that's cute moment they've made up after all these years. And they get to the portal, which is closed, but then Patty picks up a piece of the amulet that was part of the thing her mom was protecting. And somehow she is able to open the portal to the underworld. I think it's sort of implied here because Patty's mom had the amulet. Patty has some like ability to control it, I think. But
that's it. This episode's a lot.
Yeah, and then Patty gets to the underworld, sees Dante, and like tries to pull his sword out of him. And
I think
then
does she? I think she does.
She tries to pull it out, but she is unsuccessful. She's then taken back to the human world. I'm sorry, were you trying to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, I think doesn't Dante kill all the demons? I'm pretty sure because there's a bunch of demons around her trying to say, "Oi, come here, little girl."
Yeah, they're like, as soon as they get back to the human world, they try to surround her. Dante's like, "Ha, that sword meant nothing to me. I'm perfectly healed." Takes on the ginormous demon monster, wins in literally less than 5 minutes, despite being impaled again.
Shows the weakness of Sid.
Yes. He finally kills Sid, which, by the way, he should have done in episode 1.
I mean, literally, there were so many lives that you killed by not killing Sid.
Pretty much.
In episode 1.
You inadvertently caused manslaughter.
Which is uncool, man. Uncool.
Yeah. And then Dante tells Patty, "Hey, you can go be with your mom now." She's like, "Okay." And then Dante, Trish, and Lady go off to do a special job. Patty, one last time, comes to clean the shop. And that's the end of the Devil May Cry anime. I really like this episode. I think it's actually a pretty good one, except for, and I hate to say this, but Dante sort of ruins it. Because like we've said a couple times, he's so overpowered. We don't even get to see him be defeated by Sid, so we don't get to be like, oh crap, this is like, the stakes are real.
If they would have done it with just one good time, saying, hey, he can be defeated, then I'd made everybody say, oh snap, because he's beaten literally every demon he's ever fought.
Yeah. And it's not like the anime where or it's not like the games where there's a health bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's life.
Yeah, and again, he's impaled on there, and then just out of nowhere, he's automatically back to life. You could say, oh, his sword, whenever he's stabbed with it, is literally the thing that makes him go to sleep, and I would say, okay, except for the fact that, one, we don't see Patty ever fully pull out the sword, and in the first game, the fourth game, and in the anime, Dante is fully impaled by his sword, but yet takes it out like it's no big deal.
I mean, that's not a good point.
You mean my point?
No, I mean the point of the sword is not a good point
Oh,
because the point of the sword does not kill Dante.
but it does.
I made a funny, sort of.
I
I
don't,
made a weak funny.
I don't know at this point.
The point is, sword no kill Dante because he been stabbed before.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it. I think
that's all the episodes of the show.
we've covered the show pretty well, I think.
Yeah, and before we move on to our final thoughts at the conclusion, I want to give like 2 real quick fun facts about the show. Peyton, if you have any, jump right in. But my first one is that, again, this first one comes from Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. But I believe Devil May Cry is one of the few in like a group of like 30-something anime to be banned in China.
Not a big surprise.
Considering how surprisingly violent this show is at points, I'm not that surprised by. Like, again, don't let your children watch this show. It's so violent. And then the second fact I have is that Patty and Morrison went on to make appearances in Devil May Cry 5. Morrison's skin color was changed, though. I don't know why they did that, but I'm not going to complain. Morrison's still pretty cool.
I mean,
Either way.
Morrison's a very cool character.
Yeah.
The fun facts that I found is mostly the ones that you see in the show, such as Dante's dead. And Dante hates olives on pizza, but he always gets them on his pizza. But I didn't really find that much fun fact. Hard to find fun facts on this show, apparently.
Yeah. Again, literally the best one is that it's banned in China, and the fact that Morrison and Patty appeared in the games eventually.
Honestly, I enjoyed that because that means bringing similar characters back.
Yeah. But overall, Peyton, give your final thoughts on the anime.
I give it a 7 out of 10. Well, maybe a 6, because the ending was okay, but the main villain was kind of bleh. I thought it presented Dante in a pretty interesting light. It sort of stuck with the games a little bit, but that's just based off of me playing the first one. I felt the action scenes were kind of lackluster. The story was kind of okay, again, except for the part with Sid, because it just mostly stuck episode to episode. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but whenever you try to tie it in at the end, it doesn't really work out when you try to do that type of show. But I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, I would, if I was to give mine a number rating, I'd probably stick with a 6. Because despite everything we've mentioned, like Dante's overpowerness, the fact that the show literally adds almost too much to the Devil May Cry lore, Sid as a whole and some of the one-off characters in the episodes are extremely bad. I really enjoy seeing these characters interact with each other, and by characters I mean the characters from like the main cast. I enjoy seeing them interact with each other. I feel like when they're talking, the script is really good and like the performances are really solid. Again, especially from Ruben Langdon, which is surprising because I heard in an interview they were literally shutting down the studio that he was doing the voiceover at while he was recording the episodes.
Which that's kind of neat to think about.
Yeah. And I think I heard him say that he's not that happy with his performance here, but I thought his performance was fine.
I guess only he would know, and that says a bit about him if he could voice act that good. And he says that's not my best. I thought I could have done better.
Yeah. But overall, it's a fine show. You can watch it for free on YouTube.
Or you could watch it on Hulu, if you wish.
Yeah, if you would rather watch the Japanese version. But overall, I think it's a fairly solid show, even with a few things that bring it down. I do like it better than Danny Phantom, I will say that.
Yeah, I can honestly agree with that.
Oh, we're going to get so much hate for that one. Overall, that is our thoughts on Devil May Cry, the animated series, or the anime. What did you think of it? Let us know down in the comments below, and as always, make sure to leave a comment giving us your thoughts on the show or what you might like to see us review in the future. Make sure you subscribe to both Cookn Reviews and Joe Matrix to keep up with our uploads.
Yeah,
As always,
we'll upload this on both our channels.
As always, I am Sam from Cookn Reviews.
I'm Peyton from Joe Matrix.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Later, everyone.
We'll see you later, my guys. Lasses.
Yeah.